Hi! So I told you guys I'd be back with an update on life postpartum. So here I am. Those of you who are watching one of my videos for the very first time, my name is Jenna Corelli. I am a fitness nutrition specialist, a CrossFit coach, run coach, and a business mentor. And I run the blog and website jennacorelli.com. I am extremely sleep deprived, being 11 days postpartum today, but well worth it, guys. So, for any of you who are not mamas yet, being a new mom is such a blessing, and we've been going through, my husband and I have just been having a whirlwind of emotions the past 11 days. Our little girl, her name is Madison Jade. She is absolutely precious. She's adorable, as healthy as can be. We had our second doctor's appointment this morning. She was 7 pounds, 2.5 ounces at birth. Then she dropped a little bit of weight. She was about 6 pounds, 15 ounces, I think. At today's doctor's appointment, 11 days postpartum, she's now 7 pounds, 5 ounces. So she's gaining weight like a champ. She's feeding like a champ as well and pooping like a champ. So we think that that might be why she lost a lot of the weight initially, but it is common for newborn babies to lose weight after being born and then gain it back. So I kind of just wanted to try and go through my birth story with you guys because it's a pretty interesting story. I'm going to give you the longer version, so if you're not interested in hearing a birth story, you can go ahead and pause this video and don't even watch it at all. But I will come back every now and again to discuss life as a new mama. So let's see. She was born on July 16th, which was a Thursday, and she was born at 3:01 a.m. in the morning. So Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock a.m., I woke up and I was having some menstrual cramps, and that is exactly how they felt. They just felt like menstrual cramps. It didn't bother me. I could go about my daily routine with no issues at all, but I did notice that they were pretty consistent. So I got out my tracker. Actually, let me tell you guys what I used. It is called, oh, maybe I deleted it. I think, I'm not sure. Full term? It's called Full Term. Okay, so I used the same tracker. It looks like this. I used this same tracker for kick counts while I was pregnant, and it was very, very helpful. And it has a contraction tracker. So I started tracking my contractions. So to make a long story shorter, from 6 a.m. to about 1:30 p.m., I was tracking my contractions, and they were about 40 seconds in duration, and they were lasting about 40 seconds, and they were coming anywhere between 7 to 9 minutes in between each contraction. So nothing really to get alarmed about, and again, like I said, they just felt like menstrual cramps. But they were consistent, and that's what kind of triggered a possible early labor symptom for me because of the consistency. So around 1:30, I called my doula, and I just informed her. She lives about 45 minutes away, so I said, hey, I've been experiencing these contractions. They're pretty far apart. But they've been consistent all day for several hours, so I just wanted to let you know that I could possibly be in early labor. And she agreed, but she also said, again, you could be in early labor for several days before anything actually progresses. So she told me that I could stop tracking and just start again if anything seems to become more intense or a transition happens and I feel that the contractions might be more painful. So I was at a friend's house. I was visiting a friend and her newborn baby boy, and I was just hanging at our house, sitting on the couch, and I just started to get really uncomfortable. And this was around 4 o'clock p.m. Now we're still on Wednesday, July 15th, around 4 o'clock p.m. Started to get uncomfortable, so I said my goodbyes and I headed home because I just wanted to be at home relaxing. I had a contraction in the car, which was actually pretty painful. So I texted my husband. I said, I think you should come home from work a little early. We're getting close to 5 o'clock, so we're in a city. We're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which means rush hour traffic. Couldn't be worse timing if I needed to rush to the hospital for any reason at all. So he headed home from the hospital. I ended up calling my doula again, and things were just becoming closer in time between contractions. My doula said that I should just keep laboring at home until my contractions were about 3 to 4 minutes apart and lasting a minute in length. So I did just that. So from about 4:30 p.m. till 7 p.m., I was laboring at home. Still, I mean, at the time, I thought these contractions were pretty bad contractions, but looking back now and seeing how much worse they got throughout the night, they weren't bad at all. But I was keeling over. You know, I had to use my birth ball, and my husband was even like massaging my hips, massaging my back to help me get through these contractions. But it wasn't anything that was unbearable. I was able to kind of talk through them. I wasn't able to talk during the contraction, but I was able to laugh and joke with my husband in between contractions. So nothing too horrible. So 7 p.m. we left our house and we headed to the hospital. We delivered at HUP, which is the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My doula, like I said, lives about 45 minutes away in Kennett Square area. So she headed to the hospital a little bit early so that she could meet us there, and we weren't sure what traffic was going to be like. But because we left at 7 p.m., traffic had actually cleared, so we didn't hit rush hour traffic at all. We got to the hospital. This is where things just got really frustrating. They immediately checked my cervix, and I was like 1 centimeter dilated, and that was it. So they had me walk around the hospital for 2 hours, in and out of contractions again every 3 minutes about on average. So after 2 hours, they checked me again, and I had made 0 progress. Imagine how annoying this is. I've been feeling something going on since 6 a.m. that morning. It's now probably, 8, 9, 10 p.m., and still 0 progress has been made. So we had determined at that point that I was experiencing something called prodromal labor, which is my body was in active labor but was not responding to the labor, which means my cervix was not dilating. And the hospital does not keep you unless you are dilated at least 5 centimeters. So they sent me home. The hospital sent me home. So let's just say I wasn't home for very long. My husband thinks that the bumpy ride from the hospital back to my house was what helped things progress, so to say. But so I was 1 centimeter dilated. We got home. I don't even know. I was so out of it because it was so painful at this time. But I got home probably around midnight or so, maybe after midnight. No sooner did I walk in the door, I had a contraction, I vomited, and my water broke all at the same time, right on my floor, in my living room. My mom and my brother were there because my mom had come up from Allentown, Pennsylvania to watch the dog while I was in the hospital. So they were already at the house. So I'm like putting on a show and traumatizing my brother for life. Sorry, Brian. But anyway, that's all my body needed. My water to break, which progressed things along immediately and super quickly. The doula had me get in the tub, so I got in the tub, labored in the tub a little bit, which was very uncomfortable for me. So I got out, I went into my bedroom, labored in there for a little bit. Again, contractions were just getting stronger and stronger. Everything from here on out was a complete blur to me because I was in so much pain. And I don't even know, if you guys have never given birth, I don't even know how to explain the pain. But both my husband and myself thought I was going to die at some point, and clearly you don't die, but it just feels like that because the contractions just overcome your body and you have no control over them whatsoever. All you can do is literally ride those labor waves, like everybody says. It's so true, and get through it. And I wanted a natural birth, so that is why I just decided to handle the pain, get through the pain, in order to bring a new life into this world, and what a blessing it was. So, backtrack a little bit. We ended up leaving my house again and going right back to the hospital. At that point, the hospital was closed, so I had to go in through the ER, and they put me on a wheelchair. They had to check me in again through the ER. So here I am in like literally ready to push, basically, putting on a show for everybody in the waiting room in the ER. And then I had to ride that wheelchair through the hospital, back up to the 7th floor, wherever the labor and delivery floor was. They checked me immediately. I was 5 centimeters dilated. They moved me right to the labor and delivery room. And an hour later, I had a child. So I went from 1 centimeter dilated to 10 centimeters dilated in basically an hour. It was the quickest birth. After the fact in the hospital, the doctors were all like, "You had such a speedy birth. You did great. You're wonderful." And I'm like, "Hello, I was actually in the hospital before that, and they sent me home." So anything can happen. Everybody's birth is different. But I basically was in early labor for, I don't know, maybe 10 hours. And then I was in active labor for the rest of the time. And that transition period to pushing was only about an hour long. So once she was ready to come out, she came out. And I did it completely naturally. I'm very proud of myself for that, because that's something that I really truly wanted to do and to experience. I didn't want an epidural. I didn't want drugs, because I wanted to feel the full experience of giving birth, the birth of my child, on my own. And I was able to do that, and she's absolutely beautiful. She was 7 pounds, 2.5 ounces. We were in the hospital for 48 hours, so 2 days after delivery, we were sent home. And here we are, 11 days postpartum already. I cannot believe it. Time is flying. Her umbilical cord fell out today. So 11 days postpartum, she lost her umbilical cord. We've been giving sponge baths, because you can't soak their tummies with the umbilical cord on it until it falls off. Then you can start giving them real baths. But she's sitting right here next to me, sleeping. She is just wonderful. And I mean, I hope that that birth story doesn't scare you. It's not meant to scare you, but it's meant to just kind of tell you what you can expect if you're a new mom. And if you've already given birth one time or several times, maybe you can relate to what I experienced and know that it's not just you that had to go through all that pain. And if it's something that you want to talk about, I can go into more detail with you. You can email me at info@crazyhealthyfit.com. Yes, I'm extremely sleep deprived. She has some good nights and some bad nights where she's just going through this cluster feeding period where she's growing, and it's completely normal, but she'll want to eat every about half an hour to an hour, so I don't really get much sleep. I spent one night in the nursery on the recliner with her, just feeding and then putting her on my chest until she's ready to feed again. But then there's been other nights where she sleeps for about 3, even 4 hours, which at the 4-hour mark, I have to wake her up to feed her. And those are a blessing as well, because then mommy and daddy get to catch up on our sleep. So it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for listening. That's the birth story of Madison Jade. In a nutshell, again, there are details that I have left out. So if you want those details, feel free to email me at info@crazyhealthyfit.com. I'd be happy to chat with you. But again, thanks for listening, and I'm sorry for the long post. I'll chat with you guys later. See ya.